Okay, good afternoon, or evening, or morning, wherever you are. Um, this is the next community development update number 12. Tizen is not here this time. Unicorn is not here this time. I'm only joined by Dirk, so
Hi.
it will be a fairly short update. Not a lot of people have. Oh, that's me. Okay. That's me. So, okay. As I said, I'm only joined by Dirk. Dirk is one of the developers within Next. For those who don't know him, goes by the forum handle of Lore and by the Skype handle of Data. There are a few subjects we want to include today, and the first one I would like to start with is that we are having a new experimental release of Next. It's 1.2.0e. It only works on the testnet. That's very important to be aware of. So it's not for use on the mainnet, and it's for testing purpose for three new features. One is the digital goods store. The other is, finally for myself at least, after 6 months, alias transfer and encrypted messages. The digital goods store is described as goods and notes exchanged between buyer and seller, encrypted with AES, and it's a digital version. Dirk, can you tell something more about it?
I have not looked at any of the APIs. Actually, I don't know anything about it.
Nothing.
No. I've been completely doing other things. The one thing which I can say is that it has been released on Sunday, and actually we are able to provide already a fully implemented API version of that, and this is with the Power Tools in Python, which I have been writing. I have updated that yesterday, and the API calls are all included. If you are a client programmer, then you can test them on the testnets with a direct API access. But I have not been following the discussions and developments of what the digital goods store does in detail. That was mostly CFB and Kushti and Wesley doing that.
Okay. It's basically other people who've been working on it.
That was kind of a flat answer, wasn't it? Can you tell us?
It is a flat answer, but at least it's an honest answer. So then the only thing for the digital goods store I can tell, I only can tell people to check it out and work with it on the testnet. I do know that because it's a testnet release, the developers are looking for people to break it. So if you like to break things, please run it and try weird things, weird use cases out. And if something goes wrong, that's in this case actually a good thing.
I can see something about the time horizon there. Jean-Luc mentioned that he expects this release to be on the testnet for maybe around a month or so. So that would translate to 3 to 5 weeks to thoroughly test it and then go to the mainnet. That's the sort of perspective at the moment.
So we can expect use of it within approximately a month.
Yes. Also, there's another development coming up, which is the voting system, which is being finalized by Kushti at the moment.
Kushti is one of the newer developers, isn't he?
Yes, Alex from St. Petersburg. Goes
Okay.
by the forum handle of KUSHTI.
Okay, and the voting system, we had a lot of discussions about the voting system. It's actually one of the topics everybody tries to avoid. Do you know what form it will take?
No, not yet.
Also a flat answer. Thank you. It's really helpful today. Okay, I'm moving on to things that we can use is alias transfer. I've already seen this working. It's actually quite nice. You can transfer aliases between accounts. You can also set a price on your alias. So if people search for it, and as you do, and you try to register it, you get a nice message in the client which says alias already taken, you can buy it for X NXT. So like I say, it's for me it's very interesting because I was one of those people who got a lot of aliases. You can price them. You can also give them away after a while. I know quite a few people have been squatting aliases. Jeff is coming in. Have been squatting aliases for the community. So if people have squatted usernames, they can now transfer them to the correct person. Another thing, and this was actually a bit embarrassing when it happened, when the two nextblocks.info came out. It turned out that a lot of messages that were sent over the blockchain hadn't been encrypted. So a lot of messages, because it's an open system, you could read quite a few interesting stories on there. Since in this new release, it will be possible to encrypt the message. Of course, you could already encrypt them yourself and then decrypt them if you have the common key. But now encryption is in the core. It's AES again, and it's now at least possible to talk in peace. Jeff, hello.
I think his mic is still off.
Yeah, his mic is still off, but maybe he's just listening. If you want to drop in or say something.
Hey, sorry, just a quick say hello. Hi guys.
Yeah.
I'm at the playground, so if you hear any screaming in the background, it's that. I just wanted to pop in and see what's going on.
Okay, feel free. Go with your daughter. Okay.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. That's good.
Here I am outside. Always interesting to know this technology and work together on these great projects, and at the same time be chasing a three-year-old around the playground. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. Back to your meeting.
Okay. Another thing that I would like to touch upon is there were quite a few questions on the forums about Cointropolis. This is an ongoing topic, and I wanted to say a few things about it. What we have been doing with a small group behind the scenes with Tizen was determine what we can do with it. If things could be proven for it, how they could be proven, what actually happened, talking to John. At some point we came to a place where we could do a forensic research on the computer, but we didn't go ahead with it, and Tizen has posted this on the forums. It's not because of cost, it would be a paid thing of course, but it was mainly because there really wasn't really anything to prove beyond the computer security. And after that, it would not be viable for any evidence. That's the main reason that we decided not to do it. I've seen on the forums quite a lot of people who think we should do it. I would say just keep posting that because it's also a community thing. And, a few people have lost their Bitcoin over it, so it's not as if we made a decision for the community. We made the first decision, but if everybody else thinks we should do it or Thijs should do it with his son, I think we can still make that happen. That's completely up to everybody else. The costs, as far as I know, were around $1,000, so we should come up with that from the community then, probably, because we can't get it from anyone else. On the other hand, I also want to say that John is continuing to send a few people who are in the marketing group contacts he made at Pay Expo, and we're following them up. And so John is not handling these anymore. We have been contacted by a few people in the industry, different industries. Sometimes it's payment, sometimes it's a third-party thing, and we connect them to the people who we know that can help them. So that could be developers, but it can also be people like Data, who is building a bridge for the next API, just to offset that. So we still are getting material from John. I myself am not really closely in contact with him anymore, also because I want to stay as neutral as possible in the whole situation. But those are the two things that are happening at the moment. For the rest, most of the contact for Quantropolis on the forums will be done by Nicky Nickel, Matt, who most people should have seen posting in the Connectropolis asset forum already. So that's that part. I just want to touch lightly on it so people know what's happening there. Another thing that's happening that I want to update everybody on is the Isle of Man. Two of the people who are connected with Next, Domsh from BitHouse or Next House, has been in talks on the Isle of Man, and also Lee or Text Coins has been, I think, almost 2 weeks on the Isle of Man. The situation on the Isle of Man is that the Isle of Man basically has an exceptional status. For instance, one of the biggest PokerStars has, for instance, its headquarters on the Isle of Man, because the regulations for e-gaming are very after you're cleared, are very easy, and no tax-free zones, easy gambling laws, and that makes it easy. Isle of Man is trying to do the same for cryptocurrency, or at least alternate currencies, and Lee and Dominic have both been on the Isle of Man to talk. Yesterday, Lee invited a lot of regulators, government people, business people on the Isle of Man to a seminar where QBTC, Unicorn, me, and Data again were invited via a Skype connection. Basically, it was about cryptocurrency in general, but because Next is seen as third on the list of CoinMarketCap, and also because Next has a short history and thus isn't tainted with a lot of scandal at the moment. People are very interested in NXT. So we explained to them, we explained decentralization to them. We explained basically, in general, the security features. In general, what's possible with NXT, and we tried to engage these people, and the reactions were positive. People are very open towards it. One of the questions that does pop up, and this is not only because they are regulated, but also because these are business people who have to comply with certain things, is still the question of how does regulation fit in? One of the questions I got was, will you implement regulation in your system to comply? To which I had to answer a fairly long description about how decentralization works. So if the majority doesn't like certain implementations, the network will fork, and it will go on the chain with where those regulations aren't in. I also try to explain to them how it works with very large business meetings. If you do business with 2 people, then it's fairly easy to reach consensus. If you do it with 1,000 or 2,000 people, then it's much slower.
Trixie, this is yours here.
The Paramount one?
Okay. So this is a lot slower, and children just don't pay attention. They never do. So it takes some time to explain these things, but I think the main thing is that they are very interested, and that we should see where this goes. Hi, Salsa. Does your microphone work?
Maybe.
Ah, yes. Oh, mute. Yeah. Is there something you have to report, Salsa, or are you just dropping in?
I'm not sure if Just Diesel already reported about the new marketing committee's voting proposals.
No. If you want to do that, please go ahead.
Yeah, there were 3 votes in last days. So, for example, we were voting on adding a new member for the marketing committee because you stepped up out of the committee, and so there were 4 votes, and all were yes for Tizen. We were choosing, the candidates for the marketing committee with the most of the votes that were received in the February when the public vote about the marketing committee had happened. And since the Contropolis guys stepped up out of the voting for this chair, there was another member, Tizen, with the most of the votes. So we voted on yes. So now we are asking Tizen if he wants to join the marketing committee.
Okay.
And there were 2 other votes. One was about a short film, and it was not approved. And another vote was about photos, about image marketing library, and the committee voted on accepting the smaller proposal. We will start with the first set with the photos. That's it.
Okay, so there will be a kind of a photo library.
Yes, there will be first set. I think it's a small business set.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's see. One of the things I also wanted to bring up, Lee of TextCoin is very busy for us. We didn't manage to get someone basically from the community to Bitfin in Ireland, Dublin, which is this week. Lee is there at this moment on our behalf. We are going to try to set up some kind of system like a Google Hangouts to talk to people who may be interested, but it all depends on how successful Lee is to get people into a room again. we'll see how that one goes. There's also one interesting thing that I wanted to bring up myself, which I really hope personally that in some way will be done. Over the last weeks, probably because Next has been growing, we've been seeing a lot more, well, let's say, attacks. And a lot of these revolve around proof of stake, and a lot of the attacks around proof of stake and the security revolve around nothing at stake. I've tried this too, and asking people, what actually do you mean by it? Most people don't know what they mean by it, and if they know what they mean, they don't really know what you can do with it. A nun who's been on the chat also a few times, Aaron, has proposed a bounty for anyone who does a successful nothing at stake attack. So I actually would like to have that one implemented so we can actually see if it's possible. If it's possible, we have a problem, but it is a nice reaction to the whole thing. Nothing at stake, all these things are being told, but if pressed, people cannot really say what the attack is. So if anyone actually knows it, please come to the forums and explain to everyone why this can be done. And please be very clear that Next has a different algorithm than Peercoin, because a lot of people seem to be basing those nothing at stake attacks on the Peercoin algorithm. And I'm not even sure if it would work there. Data. Dirk, do you have anything to add?
There might be an automated gateway for NFD and Next in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And what is NFD?
There is a Next clone. I don't know how many people are aware of it, which has quite an interesting background story, because it started out as a scam, where
we all do.
Yeah, some criminal collected money, Bitcoin, to start an NFD clone. Most of it was invested in escrow, so that was not stolen, and he made a IPO membership list and everything, and then disappeared. And of course, people were very frustrated and angry. A number of the scam victims gathered up, collected the pieces, and actually did start that coin and followed up on the distribution list. And it has been up and running for 2 or 3 weeks, I think, which is quite an interesting experiment, really. Because it is a plain vanilla Next clone. It uses the exact same technology, and also it mirrors the releases of Jean-Luc of Next very closely. Currently, it is running on 1.15, and they want to update it to 1.16. Interestingly, it does already have quite a larger following than some of the other clones which have been around for quite some time longer already. So that will be interesting to see what will become of that one.
I'm interested. I hear these things more often. I know a few clones who are trying to do something else, but you say this is a complete clone?
Yes.
Doesn't do anything else?
Yes. They don't have any aspirations of changing anything, of making anything better or whatever. They don't have any aspirations of making a 100% fair, quote-unquote, distribution, no weeding out of sock puppets, no nothing. They have just started the blockchain, distributed the coins according to the distribution list that was left behind by the scammer, and now they are collecting and gathering a community, which looks really quite interesting. And also the big advantage that they have is that they are a one-to-one clone, plain vanilla clone of NXT, so they can really participate in the Next ecosystem with an alternate blockchain. They are 5 billion NFD as compared to the 1 billion Next.
5 billion?
5 billion, yes.
Okay. And you've been following it, it seems. What's the reason for people to step into this and not into next?
At the moment, it is only possible to trade the NFD privately or via escrow.
Yeah.
And the reason to step into there would be that at the moment they are incredibly cheap. And there is a very solid chance that there will be a community behind it because all the scammers are gone, so to speak. It's not that kind of pump and dump scheme as we have seen with NAS because there is nothing to pump and dump anymore. It started from a scam and it can only improve from there. Actually, there was a vote on rebranding it and calling it Phoenix Coin, but that had been done already in the past, so the idea was dropped. But it is sort of a Phoenix coin.
It was my idea to name it Phoenix
yes.
Coin.
I would have liked that, actually. I voted for that also. Salza, you're in it also, aren't you?
Yeah, I was scammed by NFD.
Yeah.
Well, I paid 1 millibitcoin, which translated to 50 euro cents. And then I was also in the free giveaway, which the scammer had set up in order to make it look legitimate and everything. And in the end, I sort of made an estimation. He didn't get really much traction. And I think there were 50 Bitcoin in IPO, in escrow, which he did not run away with. And what he did run away with was something like 12 or 15 Bitcoin, which is not much considering the effort he had to put into it, and that he basically is a criminal now.
How much work? How long did he work on it?
It was 4 weeks of IPO, and he collected about 1,500 users. So he had a very long spreadsheet, and the second good thing about it is that people who were working on NFD2 or NFD Plus, they were checking these spreadsheets, and they really checked it, from scratch to delete any multipliers or. They checked it after him.
Yeah.
Well, I must say that 4 Bitcoin for a week is fairly good wage. So if you don't have that much, 4 Bitcoin per week, if you can get it, it's worth scamming for, I think.
So that person was clearly expecting much more.
Yeah, okay, but if you can get 4 and you can run, it's rather than getting caught and getting nothing.
And this scam wasn't the first one of this hacker, because he used the same message as he used in his previous scams. I think Edgecoin is from him.
Yeah, so he just copied his old method.
Yeah, changed them a little bit and
Yeah, it is something that we still, you notice that we still need to be very, also on the forums. On the forums we now have trade. By the way, this is good to know. We now have trade guidelines. So if people try to trade with you without giving a token or proof, please don't, unless you actually are sitting next to the person, and even then. It's very easy, as we saw with the last bits, the big scam, but also there are possibilities of smaller scams. Please be careful when trading, and if your gut says something is not right, then you can always ask. If the person you're dealing with gets angry because you ask a legitimate question about who he is, then it's another red flag. And it's not you who's asking a stupid question, it's the person who's actually raising another really big red flag. If people want to trade, they also, either they will say, I'll do it like this and not, no way else, or otherwise the ball's in their court. It's never in your court. Wise words. Anything else? No?
well, I think I will be attending a Czech science fiction convention and promote next there.
And
I'm
what convention?
science fiction convention.
In what city?
It's in Göteborg. There are usually about 2,000 or 3,000 people there.
Okay, great. Okay, well, if you need anything, you will certainly ask on the forum. So good, nice. There are a lot of these things, small things coming up in the summer. So people, oh, by the way, Salsa, this is one thing. Is there any news on the stickers? That was also one of those things that the marketing committee was chasing up on, which was good, I think. Is there news on projects that went quiet for a long time?
Yes, I think there are now about 4 projects about stickers and.
Okay. That's not something as anyone needs to ask for funding for then anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll close this hangout for today. I'd like to do it a bit differently for next week. Still same time, same thing, but people can also send in PMs to either me, Damelon on the forum, Tizen, or to Unicorn on the forum. If you have a topic that you want in a slot here, you want 5 minutes or you want 10 minutes, you're free to ask, so please do so, because we post the link fairly late always, because it's not always clear who of us can do it. But please feel free to PM us. So, thank you, Dirk, thank you, Jeff and his daughter, and thanks, Salsa, and see you all next week.